So yeah, I'll kick it off here for us. So yeah, we're doing a kind of a brand new series here, where we're doing kind of more of a video podcast. And so, there's a lot of topics that I feel like, we definitely connected to as a team, right? And, really wanted to have more like a platform for us to kind of have more like casual, candid conversations about like how we got started, anything top of mind for real estate, anything related to like our personal lives, and our careers during the day. I think us being in like different areas, like Bartholomew in Florida, Juan in California, myself in Washington, really wanted to have kind of a way for us to, like kind of get together. I feel like we have a lot of great conversations. We meet pretty regularly, we talk all the time, right? I think it's like, having like a way for us to kind of go and like, I don't know, kind of share more about our lives and how we got started. And since we're not always kind of together at the same time in the same location, I think like being in the digital age, we have a lot of good areas where we can go and do these things virtually. And so that's kind of what we're going to kind of kick off here today. And so today, we're going to be talking about kind of more of an intro to this series. We really want to kind of talk about like our careers as engineers, how we got into real estate, what's like to be multi-career, how do we go and balance it, all their responsibilities, what do we do in our free time? And so, kind of fun topics for us to kind of discuss today. And so, I don't know like who wants to kind of kick it off here in terms of like I guess maybe like our first question is like, what got you guys interested in like engineering? And then like, how did you guys transition that into real estate and how did you guys get started?
See, Bartholomew, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Bartholomew Perez here, Florida and California agent. What got me started? I think the decision point in undergrad being, am I going to do engineering or do I want to do business? And I figured I could teach myself the business side, and I wasn't going to be that much motivated to teach myself theory. So I opted out for engineering. I figured business could come later, and it did, I think, at an impeccable time where I was a little bit more established in my engineering route, and I figured I could make good use of my income to make a purchase. So, not having guidelines, being the first in my family to make a purchase, yeah, I was nervous. I reached out to 12 agents, and I wasn't really happy with the customer service, and I figured, well, I could do this myself. And so after that, it evolved into, yeah, I wanted to be the service that I wish I had. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. And it's grown into, expansion into Florida. And this is also what's brought us together because we yearn to do many things. And so with that, I think learning from one another is essential. And I know I've found that to be the most important aspect of this whole process because if I didn't have the mentors, if I didn't have the relationships, this would be nearly impossible to maintain. I mean, as we're on this call recording, I'm also working with clients and I'm figuring out the comps that they need to make decisions as they're visiting open houses. I'm in Florida, they're in California. So these are the sort of things that have to happen in order to, achieve goals.
With you though, where like the exact same thing was when I was still an undergrad in college. I didn't really think about it much my first year or so, but I know I had that same dilemma where I was like, well, what do I choose? Like, do I do engineering or do I do business? And I was just always like more groomed into getting it and going into engineering. And like, I enjoyed it, like having to solve all the problems when it came to like whether it's your math, your science, your physics, things like that. Like I'm like, oh, okay, like this is a challenge. Like it was challenging me. So that's what I really liked about, engineering. But there was a part of me that still wanted to do business. And like just how you said, like after graduating, I kind of like and started my career as a project engineer. I had also obtained my real estate license for the purpose of wanting to learn real estate investing. But I want to know how to buy a home so then I could do it for myself at some point. And then at the same time, like that I'm learning, I can also help like my friends and my family, which is great. And then as a project engineer, I'm working on construction sites. So I get to see everything that's being built. I see all the moving parts that go into building, like in this case, a residential building. So I get the best of both worlds, I feel like.
Yeah, like kind of, I feel like there's lots of really similar themes too, because, how I got started in engineering is that, I kind of knew early on, or maybe earlier than college, what I wanted to do. And so, I think, going into high school, I got pretty interested in engineering. I think there was like, they had like classes that you can kind of take as like intros to it. And, I decided just to try it out. I think growing up, like my dad is still an engineer. And so, like he's a software engineer. And so, had me kind of interested to see like, okay, what does dad do, And so, I decided to kind of take those classes in high school just to kind of see whether or not it's something I'd be interested in. And I really loved it, right? And I think, one thing too is like, I had the opportunity to start like my sophomore year of high school and, went all the way to senior year and like had like a pretty good idea, like this is what I wanted to do for a living. And so, I out of spite decided not to be a software engineer and, went into electrical engineering at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And so, you know, it wasn't until like, as I was kind of going through like the coursework and engineering and, I decided kind of being more interested in like the business side too, right? I think like us as engineers, you're always building products, right? You're always trying to find solutions, right? But at the end of the day, like you want to kind of make a bigger impact than just the product and, the solution itself. And like, how you go and like outreach, what you're building to other people is like really through like business channels, right? And like how do you go and like market, those things. And so really had me kind of interested in kind of seeing like the end to end, right? From like building something to then like distributing out to, a wider audience. And so, definitely had me interested in going to more like on the business side. And so, what I did was worked as an engineer for, a couple of years. And, I actually went back to school to get my MBA. And then I actually transitioned to be kind of more on like program management, product management. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And so, it kind of ties into why I became so interested in real estate. I didn't have like an interest until I moved out to Seattle, Washington. And, I think, and, I bought my first property and, like you go and you tour these, these new builds and like these homes that need to be kind of remodeled. And, you just like, you kind of see like themes where you go and you're like, oh, I want to fix this. I want to fix that. It's like your engineering mindset wanting to go and, make a better solution of the situation. And, really had me interested in like figuring out ways like, how do I go and like tie into like all these things on the business side with engineering. And like, it made a lot of sense to kind of go into real estate in ways, even though like you may not traditionally think that way. And so that's kind of sparked my interest and like, and, I met you guys, and, first, we are all like kind of in similar boats when we're all like, we're engineers who are also like trying to make and get like our real estate careers up and running. Right. And like, I think like it definitely ties into kind of like how similar we are in the way we think and like the way in our interests aligns. And so, I think that it's cool to see like, we have grown a lot like in the past, like even the year that we started this thing, right? And like, learned so much from you guys and like how do we go and like build like a business, how do we go build a team, how do we go and market ourselves, right? And so it's been really cool just to kind of see like, the transitions from us like wanting to start this career as an engineer, how we got started, and like it sounds like, from school and everything to where we are into our careers now, right? It's like it's really cool to see that. So
Yeah, the amount of growth that we've experienced is great, and it's
mhm.
only the beginning. I think everything that we're doing now is really building. It's like Legos, and yeah,
Mhm.
we're gonna find ourselves in certain situations that might need a little bit more attention and care, and that's the beauty of this because those are diamonds in the rough, and they just need a little bit more attention. They'll they're gonna work out.